With our clients, we tend to work from a list of about 20 questions because I find that consistently these come up in some way or a different form or another. If you'd like us to do a video about a specific competency question or a question that you're struggling with, drop us a comment down below. So I've picked out 3 that I noticed seem to be coming up of slightly higher frequency, so I thought that they were worth exploring. First question is, give me a time when you failed. Now, if you're a type A performer, somebody who is applying to Goldman Sachs generally is somebody who is pretty bright, really successful, and kind of thinks, well, there isn't a time when I failed, or I don't want to give an example that's going to make me look bad. So how can we answer this? Well, quite simply, so we can think about STAR, situation, task, action, result, which is situation, just what's the sort of the headline, the 2 sentences. The task is sort of more in-depth, the actions is what you did, and the result is sort of what happened afterwards. So when you're thinking about a time when you failed, really what we're looking for is, because we all fail, we fail all the time and we learn things through our failures. So what we're looking for is, of course, number 1, not a massive failure or life-changing failure, or this is a time when I ran over a person in my car. Don't say that. So what we're kind of looking for is maybe a small failure. Say you didn't do very well in a module at university, or you started a job and you gave some work to your supervisor who turned around and said, actually, this isn't very good, you need to go away and redo this. What's really crucial in answering this question is saying, what did I learn? What did I really take in, and how did I get better? And then reflecting that in your result. Next question, which we saw come up quite a bit, particularly for spring internship, was tell me about something hard that you're doing or trying to do and walk me through this process. And I really love this because ultimately, if you're going to work in an investment bank, and as we've seen with our clients, and if you go and look at one of the interviews, for example, from Winnie, who was one of our clients and went on to work in a couple of top tier investment banks, you can check it out in the card upstairs, is how difficult it is, in the sense that you always need to keep learning, you need to keep striving. It is quite a pressurized job that you're going to go and do. Even if you're sitting there and working in operations, you really need to have this updating feedback loop and this course of deliberate practice. So pick something which is genuinely difficult or something challenging. It could be learning to code, learning a language, learning a sport, navigating a new situation at work, becoming a member of a society, having a position at a society, and just showing the phases of improving. So for example, if I was asked that question, I talk about learning Mandarin Chinese, because I found that actually the progressions were, first of all, I thought that my Chinese was kind of okay, and then I realized that my pronunciation was terrible and I really needed to practice the tones. Then I realized that I found it very difficult to put sentences together because my grammar was so poor, and so on and so forth. But I could sort of compress that down, my couple of years experience of doing that, compress that down into 2 minutes. And I think that's something that you can do as well. And it's quite a nice question. I like it, and I haven't seen it from anywhere else. And finally, another behavioural question which saw come up, which I thought was quite interesting, was tell me about a time when you've improved or changed a process. Now, when you think about what banks do in terms of probably being a market maker, the process itself hasn't really changed. It's sort of taking resources from A and giving them to B, and being the person who sits in the middle. So what they're continuously doing is improving processes, whether that be the process of getting information, connecting with clients, providing clients with relevant information, initiating coverage on new markets. Again, we're talking about a fairly broad topic, but I always like to give the context and the why behind a question to make you think, what are they talking about? And all of us are updating our processes. For example, if I just take the example of making YouTube videos, when we first started making YouTube videos, I would just literally hold the camera in my hand. I think I have a series of videos where I'm just walking around the garden and talking into the video, and that was fine. But as the time has gone on, and now we've done over 100 videos, I've learned about audio and lighting, and I've had comments and feedback from you guys, so it's helped me to improve and upscale that process, because I want to deliver something which is of a higher quality. So let's look at a couple of behavioural questions. Tell me about a recent challenge that you faced. Now we want to answer this in a STAR style format because it's a behavioural question: situation, task, action, result. And if you're thinking about what's the story that I should tell, this really ties into another idea that I will probably be mentioning more and more in these videos, which is telling STAR stories. Really what we're trying to do is, it's like, what's the one story that you feel really shows you off as being a bit of a Superman? You know, when we think about overcoming a challenge, it's not like, oh, I handed in a project and it was good. Come on, dude. Like, I know that you did that, but that's seriously not the biggest challenge that you've overcome. So what's the biggest challenge? And then explain it in a way and think, what's really the important parts of solving a challenge? Well, you know, identifying the elements, putting together a solution, finding people to help us with things we don't know what to do, putting in together a plan, managing our time and resources, and coming towards a good solution. Next, tell me about a time when you dealt with complexity. Why does this question come up? Because banking is complicated, and generally the stuff that you do will be complex, and there'll be lots of stuff going on, and you'll have to do all these different things throughout the day and have all these different stakeholders and deadlines and blah, blah, blah. So they kind of like to do this. Well, how can we answer this if you're a student, for example? Well, you deal with complexity quite a lot because you have multiple deadlines. You might have multiple deadlines plus job, plus boyfriend, girlfriend, pet, plus family. So that's an idea of dealing with complexity. Or it could be at work, just something that's not simple and easy to do and has more than one moving part. And it's kind of something I like to think about. Like David Allen said, I couldn't solve this in 2 minutes and just say, like, get that done right now. Now the last question is talking about commercial awareness. Tell me about a recent piece of financial news. Now, why could this be asked? Generally, if we're dealing with kind of front officey roles, middle office, so front office is that kind of investment banking, corporate finance, equity research, these types of roles. Well, really, that's going to be your business. Your business is knowing what's going on in the markets and being able to assist clients and make decisions based upon that. So knowing about the financial news would be really good. Now, for me, a really easy way to look at this, and I spoke to a client about this recently, and she was like, I tried to read the Financial Times every day and then my head exploded. I was like, dude, no one's got the time for that, right? Unless that's literally your job. So what I recommend that you do is just read BBC Business News. Like, start off with something that's really simple, standardize, and then if you feel like you want to level up after a while, then go on and do that. But start small. Like, don't start with, I read the Financial Times every day, or I read The Economist. I tried to read The Economist every month because I was like, oh my God, I'd be super smart if I read The Economist. Do you know what happened? I had like 7 weeks of Economist just staring back at me. This was during lockdown, and I was just, they were just looking at me just going, I don't think you want to subscribe to me, and I just cancelled the subscription. So lastly, but not least, how do we know what behavioural questions might get asked? So say we know there's going to be 5 questions in an interview and 3 might be behavioural, but they might change. Because motivational questions are the same, right? Why JP Morgan, why this role? But when we're thinking about behavioural questions, what we really want to think about is, what are the skills that the employer is looking for? And again, we go back to the job description. We look at that and we're like, what skills are they looking for? They want leadership. They'll probably answer a question about leadership. Are they saying we want somebody who can do like risk analytical blah blah? They probably gonna give me a question which is based around that. Complexity, leadership, teamwork. Or you get the idea, right? There's lots of behaviours that can be tested for. There are and there aren't, because they basically boil down to a couple. But that's a really good way that you can learn about which behavioural questions might get asked. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, put the notifications on, and we'll see you again soon for another Pass the Interview video. Good luck.